Hello everyone, it's Tuesday night and that means we are back for APPF1 Tier 2. It's round number 2 of this 10 race season and we are here in Bahrain for the first time in a couple of seasons. I'm your commentator Ghost as always, and that is not a good start for Enchilada Dad. Hopefully he can get back in. Dennis for the win, says Vlad in the chat. I'm sure referring to Denko IGP, who got himself his maiden APP podium last week. Coming at third place in a very, very entertaining Japanese Grand Prix. But the race was eventually won by the Season 10 champion of Tier 2, Jackalacko, who is here today as well in the Aston Martin, and we'll see just what he can do. He had a pretty disappointing season last season, but he's certainly stepped up for the beginning of this season, that's for sure. And he's even immune to the season opener curse, as we saw in that season 10 where he became champion, because he won the season opener and he still got the championship. So, even the season opener curse is not enough to stop Jacko when he's on a roll. So he'll be hoping that he'll be on a similar roll this season. He's certainly gotten it off to a good start. Hello to Rick in the chat, telling us that Extrarec, Scott and Ench will be the podium. Interesting predictions from Rick. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. But for now, we've got a qualifying session to watch, and it's going to be Scott, the man who was so close to pole position last week in Japan, but it got stolen by the defending champion Extrarec in the end. But he's certainly going to be on the warpath again today, I think, as he comes through the middle sector. And he's got a point to prove after he qualified on the front row last week, but the race far from went to plan. And he ended up retiring midway through. He had one incident and then a lot of DNFs. Enchilada needs another invite, so let me try and get him one. Okay, hang on a second. Let me send you an invite, Ench. There we go. You should have one now. But here comes Scott then down towards turn 1. Down the gears into third gear and hitting that apex. Ace is also disconnecting. Hopefully he can get back in as well. But big oversteer through turn 2, and that's a very common mistake. Easy to do around here, around that particular corner. Now down towards turn 4, down the gears, and again it's so hard to get the power down out of this corner. The traction is almost non-existent. But coming through the next couple of corners now. Scott doing well at the moment, but down towards turn 8 he goes. Not bad for now, but it's going to be the turns 9 and 10. This is the infamous corner on this circuit, turn 10. So difficult to get down the gears without locking up the tyres, but Scott's done decently well there as he comes now towards the latter part of the middle sector. Through turn 11 he goes all the way through, a little snap on the exit, but nothing to write home about, and down through the last few corners of the sector. 106.2 in that middle sector. Keep an eye on that time. We'll compare it to others as we go. But Scott is going to be the first to set a lap unless he invalidates at this final corner now. Down the gears at the 75 meter mark or so from Scott. A little wide of the apex, but he's going to romp home across the line, runs out of VRS, and it's a 28.366. That's the opening lap here in Bahrain. But JB beats him, a 28.309 from the V-Carb driver for this season. Lawrence 1.4 down, but that's a lot less down than he was before. Triku Bediak now goes to pole with 5 thousandths of a second of a gap. The other Aston Martin of Jacko all the way down in 4th is last week's race winner. 7.5, 8 tenths down. Sumo 7 tenths down as well. So these two have got a lot of work to do. These were the top 2 last week, Sumo and Jacko, but in the other order. And Lawrence not that far off today. He's getting used to wheel. He's a 2-time Tier 2 champion, but he just started racing on wheel after being on controller for years and years. So there's a lot that he needs to get used to and learn. So we'll see. We'll follow his journey as he goes on it. There's a Williams coming across the line, but I think starting a lap, so it's going to be Anton next, but he's on the mediums, so this isn't going to be representative, and yes, that is extremely close, Harris. Absolutely. We've got Carlos supporting Scott and Joshua supporting Denko in the chat as well. Anton goes to 9th place as expected on the mediums with a 29.8. Got Alex G. Sorry, no, that wasn't Alex. That was Robsu to P6, just coming across the line there. Then there's the Williams of Cavalis going to P8. It's relatively close at the moment, up and down the grid. Dadscan Game has invalidated for now, but he's also not using a lot of his ERS. He goes off track to get out of someone's way. Jonathan also doing the same. Well, he's completely cutting the corner, in fact, which he could get in a bit of trouble for if someone reports him. But Dadscan Game has indeed invalidated after that track excursion. We've got another supporter of Denko, that is Charles or Charles in the chat. So a lot of Denko fans coming out in the chat once again today, which is good to see. Where's X-Track? He's still in the pits at the moment, so defending champ not going out to set a lap for now. We'll see what he can do when he does so, though. Ench, Denko, and Aces all on outlaps meanwhile. And Dadscan Game trying again, but he's invalidated already, unfortunately. And the Red Bull driver is going to have to hope for something a little bit better than that. Aces coming through, though, across the line to start his first run of the session. Wookie as well. He's come out the pits just now. The newbie who didn't have the best start to his APP career last week. Disconnected from the session during the race and never got back in. So hopefully that won't happen again today. And he can have a full race with no interruptions. But Aces coming through turn 4. Not bad for now from the British driver as he heads through 28.8 in Sector 1. It says purple at the bottom right, but don't trust that. That's one of the many F1 game glitches that has been around for years. But through he goes. That was very, very wide, by the way, of the apex of turn 8, so he won't be happy with that one. And now coming through turn 10 and down to the last couple corners of this sector. Again, I think a little cautious from Aces so far. And we'll see what he can do across the line, though. It was a 106.2 from Scott, and he's only 600ths off pole. So what's Aces going to do in this middle sector? He's 7/10ths down on his teammate in the middle sector. So a lot left to do for Aces versus Kings. He could be down with Robsu and Alex down in 6th and 7th would be my estimation. Probably he'll end up 6th. He comes across the line now. What's it going to be for Aces? It goes across the 28 barrier, and he's actually improved by quite a bit in the final sector compared to Scott. And that shows a lot of potential for Aces, actually, at 28.6. And lest we forget, this is the same driver who, I think 3 or 4 seasons ago at this circuit, yes, it was a different game, but still, at this circuit, he completely dominated the Tier 2 race. And it was domination unlike anything we saw that whole season. Denko goes to P4. That's a good opening lap from him. And Enchiladad beats him, though, to 3rd place. And look how close these times are. Less than a 700ths of a second between the top 4 and a further 600ths to Denko. It is mighty, mighty close at the top and pretty close in the midfield as well. Look at this. Robsu, Alex G, Cavalis and Drogon very close together. Wookie on a lap as well in the Kick Sauber. We'll see what he can do. He had a decent qualifying last time out. Obviously had his issues in the race with disconnecting, but his qualifying was pretty good. He showed potential, and we'll see what he can do today. If he's got potential to be challenging for race wins, we will have to see. His time trials were pretty good, but 106.6 in Sector 2 is some 2/10ths faster than Aces in that same sector. So this could be pretty huge from Wookie as he comes through the final corner. Is he going to be challenging for pole? I think so. What's it going to be, though? He's still got some ERS to use down towards the line. Runs out now, but DRS open. What's it going to be? It's looking very good. Oh, he's actually lost a lot of time there compared to what I was expecting. expecting. He was faster than Aces in Sector 2, and then it was just 2 corners to go, so obviously he didn't get them quite right, but he's up in P7 at least. X-Trek is on an outlap, though. You can hear the the Star Wars music as he exits the pits. But Jonathan, meanwhile, the Season 7 champion, I want to say, JB goes to pole position now at 28.16, and that is significantly better than any other lap time we've had so far. But Scott's also on a lap, and he's also going quickly, nearly at 1.5 tenths up in the middle sector, and just a couple of corners to go. Remember, on his previous lap, he didn't quite get the final corner right. He was a little bit wide, so see if he can do it better this time. Yeah, that looks better to me. He comes through. Does he get the traction he needs? He's used all his ERS again, though, so that could be costly on the run to the line, and it has been. It's not quite enough to beat JB, but it is an improvement. He goes to second place for now. So we will see if he stays there, because Triku Bedayak's on an outlap. He's flying high right now in his Haas. We've also got Jonathan coming to the end of his run. He's a 106.4 in the middle sector. That's very strong from Jonathan. And the Irishman, the Season 7, I believe, or Season 8, champion of Tier 2, is just reserving today. He's not a permanent driver. He's just hanging around, but we'll see if he can challenge for pole. It's looking very, very good. It's looking very good indeed. Oh, actually, the line came up a lot later than I thought it was going to, and it's a 28.4 in the end, but it's still decent from Jonathan. Antone finally puts on a set of sauce and goes to P8, and I think Lawrence will be extremely happy, by the way, with how close he is to the rest of the pack. But X-Trek is beginning his lap, so we'll have to watch and see what the Norwegian can do, the 2-time reigning Tier 2 champ, as he approaches in his Mercedes, a 28.5 in Sector 1. I'll keep an eye on what his second sector time is like. Who else is on a lap right now? I don't think anyone. Sumo, I think, improved, did he? No, I actually don't think he did. He's still very near to Jacko in terms of time. A lot of people, by the way, staying in the pits because you tend to see only 2 sets of soft tyres being used, because the actual strategy around here is probably going to be medium soft or soft medium. So the drivers want to save a set of softs for the race. So that's why you're seeing fewer qualifying laps today than you might be used to. But Robsu coming through the middle sector. What did X-Trek do in the middle sector? I didn't quite catch it, actually. I missed it in the end. But we'll watch him as he comes down to the line. He hasn't used a lot of ERS, so he's burning everything he's got down to this final corner, and he's going to have a lot to use on the exit as well. This is looking extremely good from X-Trek. What can it be across the line? It's a 28.121. He just about beats JB to pole, but it's very, very close. I think that was another disconnect from Enchilada Dad in the background. Triku is improving, but he's backed off, unfortunately. A lot of disconnects happening today, which is interesting and also frustrating. But, oh well, we move. Aces versus Kings also improving. Drogon in the middle sector, just ahead of him, actually, or just behind him, rather, on track. I think it's going to be Aces next for a lap, though, unless Drogon's on one. No, Drogon's behind him. What about Triku? He backed off. So let's ride on board with Aces versus Kings. And he's backed off as well, actually. So no lap from Aces. And so is Drogon behind him. So, yeah, a lot of laps being abandoned in this middle part of qualifying at the moment. But we're coming to the late stages now. 4 minutes to go. And I think that's Enchilada in chat saying his PSN is just completely broken. That is not good news. And yeah, I don't know what to say, mate. I don't know what I can suggest. I can send you more invites, but other than that, I do not know what to suggest. Sorry, man. That is especially annoying because of what my predictions were on the podcast. But anyway, Wookie starting a lap down towards turn 1. We'll see what he can do. I think there's more potential in the Kick Sauber driver. Cavalis has just come into the pits, and Alex G is on a lap as well. The Ukrainian driver all the way down in 15th with his teammate in 14th. They're both a lot lower than I was expecting, but especially Jacko in 13th place is quite a shock after last week. But I do know Sumo doesn't like this track, but not quite to that extent that I was expecting. But is Triku on a lap at the moment? No, he's not. So I'm just going to stay on board with Alex as he comes through. This is a huge improvement from Alex G. He's over a second up in the middle sector. And this could be a challenge for pole, perhaps, from Alex out of absolutely nowhere. From 15th on the grid, he could go to first. If he can nail this final corner, he hits the apex, but I think he hasn't taken that as well as he would have liked at all. He comes down towards the line. What's it going to be? It's a 28.2. It's enough for third place. But that last corner was definitely not on the limit. I mean, you watch Extrek go through that corner, and he was hitting the apex and going very wide on exit, using all the track. But Alex was just a lot more cautious, so I think that's where he lost a lot of time to Extrek. But he is right in this, and so is Wookie, who goes to P5 in his Sauber. We've got plenty others on outlaps, though. Hello to Palang in the chat as well. Denko all the way down in P8, but only 3/10 off pole. That's how close this is. Hugely, hugely close on this grid. And we'll see Scott coming across the line to start his run, unless he bails out of this one and goes again on the same set of tyres. But he comes through turns 1 and 2. And that's looking pretty good. A lot better than the last time we saw him through those corners. DRS open now, down towards turn 4. The sector line, oh, it's actually backed out of it. He's backed out of this lap already, so no improvement for Scott. He's going to try again on those tyres. He's going to go for a second run. He's got to be careful of the cars behind. He made sure not to block them. I think they are all on outlaps, but still, he's got to be aware, but I'm sure he is. He's a very, very experienced driver, is Scott. But Alex G, obviously, into the pits he comes. I think that is going to be his session over. That's going to be the best he can do. Antone, though, starting a lap, and Triku Bediak, out of absolutely nowhere, takes pole position. He's the first one to go into the 28 zeros, and the Haas driver from Czechia looking to take his first ever APPF1 pole position. Can he hold on to it? JB starting a lap. Extrek is in the pits. No improvement from the champion, and he will be second at best, but I'm sure there's going to be improvements to come. Scott coming through the last few corners. He's going to start his final run shortly. Wookie has bailed out and into the pits. 6th will be the best he can do. Denko in Sector 2 at the moment. Plenty other drivers, though. Let's try and ride on board with as many as we can. I think, is that Robsu on an outlap? Yeah, so I think the next across the line is going to be Antone, and he's a 10th up as the Brazilian through the first sector. But what about the middle sector? This is where a huge amount of time can be gained and lost. And we could be about to see that. He's only in medium ERS as well, so that could cost him in terms of pace, but it's not at the moment. He's still a 10th and a half up. He's using everything he's got now down towards the final corner. And qualifying time is up, so all these laps are their last. Extrek, Alex and Wookie taking no further part. Same for Ench and Dads Can Game, of course. But here comes Anto now through the final corner. It looked pretty good. He's using everything he's got left. It's a 28.6 in the end. It's an improvement, but not by much. And he stays in 12th place. What about the Ferrari of Sumo Gilligan? He's invalidated. He's going to stay down in 15th at best. Denko goes to P4. It's a good pressure lap from him. What about JB to the line? Is it enough? It is! He snatches pole position from the jaws of Triku Bediak. Can Scott do anything? Can Jonathan do anything? He is not improving very much. Scott is a 10th and a half up, but that's not enough. Jonathan is down by a 10th and a half, so definitely not him. Jacko improves to P9. It's still not as high as he would have liked, but it's a big, big improvement from the Scottish driver and championship leader. Scott's already used all of his ERS, and that's going to really cost him on the run to the line. And in fact, he's into the pits, so no improvement for him. It's all on the likes of Robsu, who's improving, but nowhere near enough for pole. What can the V-Carb driver do? What can Cavalis do? No improvement. Lawrence gets to P16. Robsu, oh, he only stays in 14th. It's a slight improvement from Robsu, but not enough. And Lawrence will be absolutely delighted to be not number 1, not last, and number 2, right behind Sumo Gilligan. You'd love to see it. But what a qualifying session. It's JB who takes Tier 2 pole for the first time in quite a long time, I think. And Triku Bediak, oh so close to his first ever pole, but just about couldn't snatch it away in the end. But what a qualifying that was, and what a race we are in for here. It is JB and Triku on the front row, with the two Mercedes locking out the second row of Extrek and Denko. Then it's Alex in 5th with Scott down in 6th. Wookie in 7th with Enchilada in P8. Then it's Jacko and Jonathan on row 5. Drogon and Aces row 6. Then it's Anton, Robsu, Sumo and Lawrence, Cavalis and Dadscan Game at the back. It's JB's 4th pole position in his long APPF1 career. He's had 220 races in APPF1, and this one was his 4th pole, so it doesn't happen to him very often, and he is right back on the pace here in Bahrain, and now he needs to capitalize on it. That is what he's been struggling with. He's been extremely good at qualifying the last season or so, but in the race he hasn't capitalized. His race pace has been lacking, and he's been a little too cautious with battles, so we'll see if that changes today, but he'll be delighted to line up at the front of the field. So here we go, 3, 4, 5, red lights. And we're underway for the Bahrain Grand Prix. It's a great start from Triku from P2. There's Wookie in the background going to the middle of the track. But it's looking like Triku down the inside of JB. And it's Triku Badayak who's going to lead through turn 1. But they're going to be side by side through 2. They're all single file behind. And it's JB who gets ahead in the end. Denko's just behind them as well, looking for a way past, but nothing at the moment. It's most of the grid starting on medium tyres, a few on hards, and then a few at the front on soft tyres. Triku, Extract, Scott and Ench all on the softs. And they'll be going soft-medium strategy for sure. And Wookie and Aces have made contact. Aces is sent round, and there's contact in the mid-pack. There's a Ferrari going round that Sumo. It's 3 wide for turn 8. That's not going to end well. Aces is ghosted as well. He's all the way down to 13th, and he's hit the side of Robsu as they head towards turn 10. It's carnage in the midfield, but meanwhile the two Mercedes have swapped places. There's a Haas going round in the background. Megstrek is up to P3 on his soft tyres, and JB continues to lead this race. What a start for him, holding off the soft tyres of Triku, but now he's got Triku and Extrek just behind him, and that's just who you don't want to see behind you in Tier 2. Anton and Alex going wheel to wheel, and that's Aces round again for the second time in the same lap. He is all the way down to 16th place, and it could get even worse as Sumo's looking to the inside. But what an absolutely disastrous first lap for Aces. It doesn't get much worse than that, and I do feel for him. But look at this on the run to turn 1. Extrex down the inside of Triku. Can he make the move stick? He's left just enough room. He goes across the curb. Triku gets the grip, but it's not enough. off. Extrek sweeps around the outside of turn 2, and they're going to be side by side on the run to turn 4. This is exactly what JB needs, but he needs Tricky to stay ahead because Extrek's race pace is unbelievable usually. They come through turn 4, great racing between them, great respect shown, and it's Extrek who gets ahead and up to second place, and JB's in a lot of trouble now, I have to think. Cavalis is also round in the Williams. So many drivers having disastrous starts to this race, but at the moment it's the top 4 still in order. Well, not in the same order, but you know, keeping order, I think is fair to say. The top 7, in fact, all locked together, and then Jacko with a 2-second gap to Wookie in P7 already on lap 2. So there's certainly a big spread already happening on the grid, unlike last week, with Drogon getting around the outside of Lawrence, meanwhile, for P12 towards the back of the field. And Lawrence just happy to let him go for now. And remember, he's just getting used to wheels, so he'll be happy to just be racing with the pack, at least, for now. Sumo's down to 18th. He is 26 seconds behind. He's got no front left end plate, and I don't know what's happened to him, but he hates this track, and you can see why, as he's down in last place, a long way behind, and he's going to need a safety car to get himself back in this now. JB a little wide through turn 1, but I don't think that'll be enough of an opportunity for Extrek. In fact, he's not using his ERS on the exit there either, so he's happy to sit behind, but Ench isn't happy. He's looking to the inside of Scott, but doesn't quite send it. Jacko losing another second in that half a lap. So he's already 3 seconds down, and a big gap emerging between these two groups already. Aces and Drogon going wheel to wheel. What great racing this is. Let's hope Aces doesn't have contact again through the two. The left and right-handers. That's brilliant racing from both, and it's Aces who gets ahead. Robsu down the inside of Lawrence as well for turn 8, and there's contact, and Lawrence is sent round. He's just about survived, but he'll be disappointed with that. And Sumo into the pits to replace his front wing. And yeah, he really needs a safety car now in this race. Let's turn on the position changes, because I think that's going to be interesting to see. Antone getting past Jonathan, meanwhile, for 9th place. He's up 4 positions from the start. He's had the best first 2 laps of anyone. Alex G down 6 to 11th after starting in 5th place. Disaster for him. Obviously a poor start for Sumo and Drogon as well, and Aces, but somehow he's still only P12, which is where he started. I thought he dropped a lot lower than that after having contact twice, but he's done pretty well, to be fair, to still be in P12, as Ench does manage to get his way past Scott, and JB still keeping Extrek behind, which is crucial for his race. That's just what he needs to do. He can't allow Extrek to get ahead and start trying to build a gap, but that might be what Extrek is trying to do. He looks to the inside, but he backs out just before turn 4. Wookie right behind Scott as well, but loses the rear through the corner, but he's just about survived that. Good car control from the rookie, as Antone gets past Jonathan again. I think that was Jonathan trying to get past the Red Bull and not quite succeeding, rather than the other way around. But good battles up and down the grid despite the big gap, and Extrek going for a move on JB at an unexpected place. He's gone for it at turn 10, and he's going to have the DRS as well down towards the next corner. It's a brilliant opportunistic move from Extrek. I didn't quite see what instigated it. It's Trick who goes down the inside as well of JB, but he doesn't quite get it done, and Ench and Trick who makes slight contact, and somehow Enchilada avoids the wall. It's 3 wide down towards turn 14. There's no way. This is incredible stuff. Ench is down to P7, but he's still in the train. But that was very close to the wall. He would have had his heart in his mouth there. That was absolutely on the edge after that little bit of contact. But it is carnage out there in Bahrain in Tier 2. We had some great calm racing last week, but not today. They are out in full force, the drivers, today, as JB retakes the lead. But Extrek still looking to the inside. JB breaks extremely late. It's too late, but he gets back on track just ahead. Who's going to get the DRS down to 4? It's going to be both of them. No, it's just Extrek. And I think that is surely curtains for JB, as he's now going to get overtaken by Triku down the inside as well. But no, he sweeps around the outside of turn 4. It's very nicely done from the British driver, and this is more like it. JB, he's getting his elbows out. He's He's trying to compete with the drivers that he is as fast as, and he's doing it very, very well. Denko down the inside at turn 8 of Triku. He doesn't quite get it done, but Scott's into the wall further back, and he is dropping down the order as well. And so many drivers have had incidents already. It's only lap 5. I don't know if there was contact or if he just lost it. It's so easy to do around here. I wouldn't be surprised. But he is going to have to come in for an early stop as well. We've got Alex getting past Jonathan, who's into the wall as well in the background. And we've got a safety car in this race. It was surely inevitable the way things were going. And it's going to be X-Trek who leads. And it's going to be great. Well, actually, I'm not sure it's perfect news for the soft tyres. Those mediums, if they want to take them to the end, that is quite the stint. So I'm not sure it's good news. Maybe the 2-stop can be considered. We'll have to see what X-Trek decides. He is the lead car. He has the instigation. Does he come into the pits? Let's bring Sumo back in the race as well, by the way, the safety car. And X-Trek does indeed come in. So does JB. Denko stays out in the Mercedes, trying to avoid a double stack. But could that be costly in the end? Who knows, but he's going to lead the race now. And in comes most drivers to the pits. Alex also staying out. There's an Alpine in the background. That's Aces staying out as well. So he's going to shoot all the way up to P3. And it's going to be Denko from Alex from Aces for the restart of this race. Most drivers into the pits for hards. I'm not going to lie, guys. I completely just forgot that hards were even a tyre you could go on. I was just thinking, yeah, the soft medium is the strategy. So that's, can they take the mediums the whole way? Forgetting that hards is also a tyre that you can pick. But X-Trek and JB both, though, going for the mediums. I wonder if he's planning a 2-stop. It's not terrible around here, you know. It really, really isn't. And if he can get ahead of the hards, just because the hards are so bad at this circuit, if he can get ahead of them and start building a gap and then come into the pits later on for softs again, or just another set of mediums, he could really have a go at this race. And Jacko probably thinking the same. He's gone into the mediums as well, as have Lawrence and Drogon. That's Scott Round in the background, by the way, under the safety car. Is he going to get recovered in time to be ahead of Lawrence? It looks like he is. And Sumo into the pits as well for a set of hard tyres that he's going to try and take to the end. And he will be back in this race, albeit at the back of the field. There's also the notable absence of Tier today. He did try and join right at the end, but he was just too late and missed qualifying, so he wasn't able to get himself on the grid. So unfortunately, no Tier today, and that means Enchilada Dad is flying the flag of McLaren in their championship push for the 3rd season in a row is what they're going to be hoping for. They finished 2nd place the last 2 seasons in the Constructors. Season 12, they lost out by 1 point, can you believe it? And season 13, they missed out by a few more than that, but it was still close. Had they not double DNF'd in Baku last season, they would have definitely been in with more of a shot. But 2nd place both seasons, and they'll be hoping to make it one better this time. But yeah, the absence of Tier is going to drop them a few points today, and Tier in the chat apologising to his teammate for not making it. It's you know, that's life, Tier, happens to the best of us. I'm sure Ench won't hold it against you. But we do have a safety car right now. We're waiting for Sumo to catch up to the back of it, hopefully. Hopefully it doesn't come in without him, because that would be a real punch to the gut for him. But he's coming around turn 1 on those hards, and he's going to have plenty of time to get rejoin the pack. But it shouldn't come in this lap. It should be in on lap 8 is what I would have thought. But interestingly, Dadscan Game also staying out, and he's in 6th place. He could be a real spoiler effect here if Triku can't clear him quickly. And we know he's not the quickest on corner exits. But you know, it can be difficult, especially if you're not expecting him to be slow. Like if Triku comes through turn 1 and is caught out by the Red Bull being slow, then he's going to lose a huge amount of time and possibly even a front wing end plate. So he's got to be careful here, has Triku. Safety car is staying out to allow Sumo to rejoin, so we will have one more lap of double yellow flags. I didn't fall asleep on the couch. The weekend might have caught up on me. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. You're just too late. We've got Jonathan into the pits, meanwhile. Interesting decision from the Irishman. He is towards the back anyway, so he's not losing too much in terms of track position, but what tyres is he going to go on? Another set of mediums. Okay, that's all. He's just thinking of getting those mediums to the end, which it's quite the stint. It's not impossible, but it is quite the stint. So we'll see what he does. I would have imagined that the drivers who pitted onto mediums under the safety car would be going for a 2-stop, but I'm not entirely sure. It's been a while since I did Bahrain, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the mediums last a lot longer than I thought. But most of the grid on hards at the moment. But not our race leader, Denko. And there's an opportunity for him here. If he can gap Alex by a bit, because Alex is not the easiest man to get past on the grid. So if he holds up some of the drivers behind, then Denko could build a nice little gap here. But the Mercedes seem to be a good team. Denko and Extrek. They've only been teammates for a couple of races now, but they've already gelled quite well, it seems. And we'll see what happens today. Somehow Ench is losing places in his McLaren. I'm not quite sure how that's happening. He's now down to 11th place. No idea how that's happened, but anyway. Safety car is going to be in this lap, as we expected. And it's going to be Denko who sets the pace now. You see the safety car disappearing off into the distance, and Denko can decide when to go as and when he likes. But of course he can't pass the start-finish line until that safety car is into the bits, and Ench leaves the session again. So I hope that is not the end of his race, but it's looking like a dismal day for McLaren as Denko comes around the final corner and gets us going again. It catches Alex a little bit off guard, and there's nothing the Ferrari can do to get back on terms with him. Everyone using ERS. Aces on the back of the Ferrari. Is he going to send it into turn 1? He is indeed. Down the inside goes the British driver, and it looks like he's made it work. Yes, up to P2 goes Aces. Brilliant move from the Alpine driver, and Extrek trying to go through as well. They're side by side. A little bit of wheel banging, a little bit of loss of the rear from the Mercedes driver. Alex brakes late, so does Extrek. Brakes even later, but Alex tries to sweep around the outside. He tries to get the grip. Extrek is still there as they head through the next couple of corners, and Extrek makes it through. Not much that Alex could do in the end, but he put up a very good fight. And now JB down the inside. This is much more like it from JB. There's a little bit of contact as they went through, but no harm done. There's a lot of places being exchanged further down the grid. I've no idea what's going on, but JB up to P4 as well. And Denko has managed to pull a gap to the cars behind, and it's now a Mercedes 1-2 as Extrek gets past Aces versus Kings up ahead. And JB just has to watch and wait, but he needs to get past Aces soon-ish, you would have to think. But Extrek a little slow on the exit, and Aces is going to be back side by side with him, but there's nothing he can do in the end, and Extrek is ahead. It's a Mercedes 1-2, not for the first time this season. We saw them 1 and 2 for a long time last week, but it didn't quite pan out that way in the end as JB down the inside, perhaps at the final corner. He backs out in the end, but he's been much more aggressive today and showing much more hunger on track, and this is what we want to see from JB. He's looking to the inside of Aces towards turn 1. He's going to try and send it, I think, just like Aces did to Alex just a lap ago. Can he make it work? He goes over the curb, clatters through. Ace is still on the inside, but JB has the grip on the outside, and he gets through to third place. That's Drogon all the way down to 15th in the background. Wookie down to 13th. Ench is back in the session, but he's already lost a lot of time, unfortunately. And it's going to be 3 wide back here into turn 4. Surely not. Wookie, hits the back of Sumo as he goes through, but they're just about clear of each other. Wookie still side by side with Drogon perhaps on the exit, but they've just about survived and backed out in the end. Jacko getting through, and Antone in the meanwhile. And look at this, he's up to P6, but Antone is back at him down towards turns 9 and 10. Jacko down the inside though. Can he make it stick? I wonder. It looks like he can, and Antone gets a track limits penalty for going wide as well on the exit. But he's going to be back at him on the run to the next corner perhaps, but the Brazilian finally backs out, and Jacko is up to 6th place. And last week's race winner, he looked like he was down in qualifying, but he was certainly not out. And he's proving it now as the two Williams now do battle. Oh, there's contact between their wheels, and they've just about... I have no idea how neither of them are in the wall right now, but they've survived that one. And Jonathan is ahead. Denko dominance is going to bore fans, says UK Greenhill in the chat. Well, he's not dominating at the moment. His teammate is right with him, and so is JB. Aces has already lost out to these top 3 who are looking like the protagonists of today's race. Denko, Extrek and JB. Antone looking to the inside of Jacko. Ench has left the session again, unfortunately, and it's retired him. So it's 0 points for McLaren today after network issues for Enchiladadad and sleeping issues for Tia, unfortunately. But Antone round the outside of Jacko for turn 4, and it's a good move from the Red Bull driver. Jacko can't do anything about it. He's down to P7. We've got Robsu and Triku also wheel to wheel through the next few corners. Can they make it stick? No. Triku certainly can't. He's back down to 9th. But Robsu into the top 8 now. What brilliant racing this is up and down the grid at the moment. Denko into the lead still. Still not being overtaken by his teammate, but they're working together, I think, to just give JB as many problems as possible. But the British driver not deterred and sticking with them. Ace is a long way back now, 1.5 seconds. And Alex trying to stick with him, but struggling as well at the moment as Antone and Jacko continuing to do battle. We've got Jonathan right behind Triku Badayak, practically pushing him through turn 12 there. But he's not able to make any sort of move, and he has to stick behind for now. His teammate 1.1 behind in the distance. As they go wheel to wheel again through the final corner. Jonathan gets a bit of a snap on the exit, but we've got to cut to the front because JB's on the inside and Denko's got no DRS. X-Trek takes the lead, but is Denko going to lose 2 places in one straight here? Denko down the inside of JB, trying to help out his teammate, but he can't do it. JB sweeps around the outside. It's a beautiful move from the British driver, and he is up to P2. Fantastic stuff from JB. Robsu and Jacko doing battle as well. Jacko just behind the Finnish driver, and Robsu's up another place to P7 now, but he does have a penalty to contend with. I assume it's track limits, but Jacko back at him after a poor exit from Robsu on the, turn 4, and Jacko retakes the place. This is fantastic. Much better than the opening few laps where it was all carnage up and down the grid. Now we're still getting brilliant battles, but it's much better racing as Jonathan now down the inside of Robsu. And hits the back of him, does Robsu, and loses, I think, a front wing end plate, I would have thought. And JB goes to the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix on lap 12. We're only on lap 12, by the way, guys. We're not even halfway through this race. It already feels like we have done 2 races of commentary, but no. There is plenty more to come in this crazy race as Triku and Robsu swap positions further back. Ace is still not that far behind, you know. The top 3, they've extended a gap, but not much of one. Ace is still only just under 2 seconds behind. It's only going up by a few tenths a lap, if that. Who's that? Who's that off? It's Antone into the wall, and it's a dramatic crash, and Alex goes into him as well. There's nothing he could do about that, I don't think. I think that was just desperately unlucky for the Ferrari driver. Can we see? Yeah, I think he's just gone into the side of Antone as the stricken Red Bull careened back onto the track after his crash. That is so unlucky for Alex G. He was having a decent race up until then, but there was nothing he could do about that. And, well, That is surely going to be everyone into the pits again, I would have thought. And yeah, you're in the chat, absolutely right. Those who are still on the mediums, especially those who haven't stopped yet, this is huge for them. But actually, it's not great timing, I would say, for Denko and Aces, because they're going to have to either go on the hards or softs here. Hards are not great on this track. Softs are very good tyre, but 16 laps is a stretch. So it's decision time for those two. Dazken game with a drive-through, unfortunately, at the back. But Denko and Aces, yeah, big decisions to make for both of them, especially thanks to the double stack. Actually, Denko could lose out big time here, so everyone in the chat saying it's good news for him. It could well be very bad news for Denko, as Scott and Wookie somehow swapping places. I think maybe Wookie went off track. I don't quite know what happened there, but anyway, he's back ahead of Scott now. But yeah, we're coming to the final corner. We've got pit stop decisions to make for all the drivers. What are they going to do? But particularly Aces and Denko, what tyre do they go on? JB and Xtrek stay out, so no double stack for Denko. Everyone else into the pits. And goodness me, JB and Xtrek have got a task on their hands here. Cavalis stays out as well, as Wookie and Scott both staying out too on those hard tyres. I'm really surprised by that. I really thought they would come in for the mediums, but they haven't done. Denko's gone for the hards, as has Aces. So they're all going to be on those fresh hard tyres. Compared to the little older hard tyres ahead, 8 laps old for the top 5. But this is a very intriguing prospect now. Jonathan's gone onto hards. I think those were used hards. That's why it says 5 laps. Robsu, the only one onto the mediums, and that is a good decision from him. He's going to easily take those to the end, but it's... he does have that time penalty to contend with, so but he does have the best tyres of the grid right now, in terms of the rest of this race, I would say. Sumo also onto the medium, so he's not out of this yet, down in 14th place. We do have 3 drivers out, and that means that everyone now who finishes the race will score points. It's points for the top 15 here in APPF1. But at the moment, it's JB with the advantage. Every time you say Alex, I hear Harris for 0.5 seconds. Sorry about that. Denko for the win, say the IGP crew in the comments. And, well... it's certainly a possibility, but he is on the back foot now. He does have fresher tyres than those ahead, but I wouldn't imagine there's too much difference at this stage. The difference will become more apparent towards the end of the race, but will he have made enough progress by then to make it count? That's the question. Safety car in this lap. Very late call from Bernd Mailander at the wheel of the safety car, and JB gets us back underway, and it looks like it's very, very chaotic further behind them. It's looking like perhaps 4 wide. Xtrek pulls to the inside, but they're safe, the top 2, and it's carnage behind. Wookie tries to find the space and does. He's up to P4, but Cavalis secures 3rd place in the meantime. Denko is up to P6. Aces as well. I think that was Jonathan who lost positions there. He's down to 9th now, or someone lost positions. I'm not quite sure who. Maybe it was Triku. I couldn't quite tell. Oh, that's someone round. That's Scott for the 3rd time today, spinning off. This time at the exit of turn 4. But JB and Xtrek have pulled a gap already. JB especially pulling a gap to Xtrek right now, as he looks for his first, or his, I believe, I can't remember now, but I would have to check the stats. Robsu on the inside of Jonathan, meanwhile, for 8th place, and he is flying on those medium tyres already, but can he make enough progress to make that track limits penalty not matter too much? That's the question. Denko on the inside of Wookie. Oh, and there's contact! And Wookie had a missing front left end plate, I noticed, but Denko has lost a ton of time. I think it was just a coming together between the tyres. Not much in that, but it's very unfortunate for Denko, and the chat is going to be unhappy about that one. Robsu looking to the inside of Jacko, meanwhile, to the final corner. We've got 22 people watching the stream. Welcome in, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the race. What a chaotic race it's been so far. Denko now trying to take advantage of that poor exit from Robsu as he tries to get his way up into P7. And looks like he's going to do it. No, actually, he runs out of VRS and gets overtaken by Jonathan instead. Could get overtaken by Sumo as well. Jonathan on the inside. Oh, there's big contact. Who was that? Dad's Can Game braking far too late into the first corner and nearly taking out half the grid. He is definitely going to be in the steward's room for that one. That is a poor mistake from Dad's Can Game. But Cavalis and Wookie now wheel to wheel on the exit of turn 4, and Cavalis stays ahead. This is a great battle between these two, but they're allowing the top two to streak away, and Xtrek is allowing JB to streak away, and Cavalis, oh no, Cavalis is round, and the Lithuanian driver who was having such a good race until that point, now all the way back down to 12th place, and he will be absolutely gutted with that. He was on for possibly his best ever finish in APP, but it wasn't quite to be, it seems, as JB and Xtrek still lead the way. Xtrek, though, seems like he is struggling to stay on the back of this speeding VCarb driver. JB is in his element today, and 13 laps to go at the end of this one. Xtrek still in DRS range, but only just, and we can see that gap teetering on the edge of 1 second over the course of this lap. So can Xtrek stay with him? That's the question. How much ERS has he got? Still plenty, but so has JB. As Wookie now leads the rest of the pack down towards turn 1, but is out of ERS himself, and it's going to be Aces who will go straight clear of him into third place. And Robsu down the inside of Jacko in the meantime narrowly avoids going into the back of Wookie as they go through turn 1. Oh, it's just about okay as they go through 2, but Jacko with a time penalty. Wookie's going to be back at the Alpine down towards turn 4. A little bit of wheel banging as they head there. Aces brakes extremely late. Denko with a beautiful switchback, but they make contact on the exit, and Aces off the track briefly. Robsu now down the inside. They're still side by side, these two. Oh, Wookie forces him wide. They lock tyres as they head down towards turn 8, and this is more like the chaos of the first few laps. Oh, and Aces has gone round. Aces has spun at turn 8 again today, and he's all the way down to 12th. This is carnage, this race. It's great for the spectators. I am dreading it in the stewards room, though, later on. This is not what we expect from Tier 2, these kinds of incidents. But anyway, Robsu down the inside of Wookie. There's more contact as they go through, but he's gotten ahead. Denko's back to 5th place, meanwhile, as he looks to try and secure a podium for today on his fresh hard tyres, but Robsu is flying on those mediums. He's on the right tyre. It's just a shame about that penalty he's got. Sumo's in this as well on the medium tyres. This is the man who spent the majority of this race trundling around at the back of the grid, and here he is in 6th place on the best tyres out of anyone, with the exception of Robsu, but with no penalty, and looking to perhaps get himself a podium today. He's looking to the inside now of 2 drivers down towards turn 1. Wookie and Denko wheel to wheel. Denko down the inside. They make contact on the exit, just slight banger wheels, nothing in that though, as Wookie takes P4 back off him. Denko looks to the inside. Sumo looking around as well for a way through. He looks to the outside of Denko at turn 4. They go wheel to wheel, but Sumo can't find a way through, and now Jonathan's trying to take advantage, but sensibly, very sensibly, backs out just before turn 6. And Jackalacco in the mix as well. The 2 Hasses still here too. Cavalis not too far behind. He can get himself back in this. But Aces coming out the pits now on fresh mediums. He's a long way back. Scott is still in this as well, but 6 seconds behind. And, well, it's been another bad day for Alpine after it was a disastrous day for them last week. Some would have tipped them for the championship this season, but they have not gotten it off to a good start so far. And it's still JB and Xtrek well clear of the rest of the field, and Xtrek is pushing pushing to try and stay with JB. He's actually not using a lot of ERS, but through the corners, JB seems far superior to the champion at this stage. But we all know about... Number one, the Extrarech force field that we've seen before from last season. But number two, that you can never count Extrarech out in Tier 2. And you can certainly never think that he hasn't got what it takes to make a move on the last lap for a position as Denko down the inside, but he's braked far too late, and Sumo's going to be back at him through turn 2. Look at the grip that Sumo's got on the exit, and he gets clear of him. They're wheel banging between the two cars behind. Wookie trying to get his way through as well. Jonathan getting past Denko, but it's Jonathan on the inside of Wookie now for turn 4. Denko losing the rear slightly on the exit, but getting back past Jonathan on the exit now. Denko up to P6, and Jonathan backs out sensibly, and it's the Greek driver back up into the top 6, but it's a real struggle for him to clear any of these drivers. Jacko's in the mix as well, but he does have that track limits penalty. Perhaps he can get it removed. Perhaps he has an argument that he got forced off, but who knows? The two Hasses still in the mix too. Denko in P6, Sumo up to 4th place now, but Robsu is streaking clear on those mediums. He does have a 3-second penalty, but he might be able to gain enough time that it won't matter, as Sumo is 2.1 behind, and he's going to be under pressure from the Sauber driver of Wookie now, down towards turn 1. As we now head onto lap 20. 10 laps to go in this race. Robsu needs quali laps, says Rick. He certainly does. Extrarech is a lot closer to JB this lap. JB is running out of ERS, and Extrarech has just sat patiently, and suddenly the tables are turning. Extrarech looking like he perhaps has the advantage now as JB goes very deep into turn 1, but Extrarech just happy to sit behind for now. He doesn't want to make a move early and give JB the opportunity to save up some ERS. He wants to wait until right at the end and give JB no chance to fight back, as the two Hasses swap positions further back. That is Triku up to 9th place now, ahead of Drogon. But what a race this is. It is carnage up and down the grid, but it's certainly entertaining. Robsu not able to gap Sumo by any more on that previous lap, but maybe he can do better on this lap. He's certainly gained a lot there through turn 8. They gained 3/10 as Wookie looks to the inside of Sumo for turns 9 and 10. Doesn't send it in the end, just trying to scare Sumo a little bit, and it looks like it succeeded. He lost some time on the exit, but Wookie is just too far back, and with no ERS left, he's not going to be able to make a move at this stage. Denko is in a good position. He may have the hard tyres, but he's got a lot in the battery, and he can still make some moves in this race. 9 laps to go at the end of this one. A thrilling Grand Prix it has been, but look who is right on the back of the race leader now. JB in big trouble here. Extrarech has the DRS. Is he going to go for it though? That's the question. I don't think so. No, he's backing off. He doesn't want to go for it at all. He's just sitting behind the VCARB driver, letting him use his ERS, letting him use his defences up, and then trying to make a move right at the end, like we've seen him do so many times. Denko down the inside of the damaged car of Wookie. They're going to go wheel to wheel through turn 2. They just about avoid contact. It's great racing from Wookie to stay with him, but Denko, I think, has finally made this move stick. Wookie does not send it to the inside. He's too far back, and Denko is up into the top 5 now with Sumo in his sights, and perhaps a back-to-back podium as well, because Robsu still has that 3-second penalty to contend with, and he's only 2.5 ahead, but it's growing ever so slightly. What about this corner? He gained a lot Sumo this lap, or last lap at this corner. Aces retires in the pit lane. He is done for today, but Wookie and Jonathan wheel to wheel now into turn 9. Jonathan looking to the outside, then the inside, but no move being made. It is so close between all of these drivers in this train. This is fantastic stuff. But now it's Jacko looking to the inside, but no such move for last week's race winner. As now JB and Extrek again right together, but JB has gained some ERS back. He used a bit there going down to the final corner, but he's gained some back. He's got some of his defenses back, and this is so much pressure that Extrek is now putting him under. After JB looking like he was perhaps going to be free and clear this race earlier on, Extrek has kept the pressure on. He's just stayed in DRS range, and it's paying dividends now. He has a little brief look to the inside just to let JB know he's there, as Denko now gets the move done on Sumo, up to 4th place on the run to turn 1. Further back, it's 2x2, and there's contact, and that's Jonathan going round. It was contact between himself and Triku, and Triku down to 10th place. Jonathan still going strong in 8th at the moment. It was just a little bit of contact, but there's been so many bits of contact today. It's been a little hard to watch as a league admin, I have to say. It's not been great in terms of racing standards today, but it's certainly been entertaining for us, as Jonathan now has wing damage as well, so he's going to struggle to stay with the rest of the drivers. As Sumo sticking with Denko for now, and they are catching Robsu. That 3-second penalty could turn out to be very costly indeed. Sumo, though, loses the rear on the exit of turn 10, and now Jakalako is within range, and Sumo's lost the DRS to Denko. It's a sigh of relief for the Mercedes driver, as he's now not going to be under pressure from Sumo, as they head onto lap 23 of this 29-lap race. Robsu is looking like he's going to lose this podium, but Denko is doing a fantastic job. He's been through thick and thin. There have been so many bits of contact he's had to endure, so many little mistakes and giant battles as well that he's had to get through, but he is now into P4 and looking sure for this podium. Wookie's into the pits to repair his wing, and I'm surprised by that because he was running absolutely fine, but he's come into the pits. He's going to go for fastest lap, and he will probably get it. Drogon, I think, has gone into the back of Jonathan again there, by the way, into turn 1. Well, actually, no, it was Triku last time, so it's the other Haas this time, and pays the price with a track limits penalty. He still remains P8 though. I don't know if he's got any damage. I can't quite see from this rubbish camera angle that it's giving me. But Jacko just behind Sumo. He goes for it. He goes for it into turn 8. It's a very late lunge from Jakalako. I don't think he even meant to make that overtake, but it has happened. And he is up to P5. Sumo trying to get back at him, but Jacko, what a little bit of a move that was. I think it was unintentional. He does a bit of a weave down the straight just to say oops to Sumo, I think, or maybe to say what a move. Just telepathically communicating with his long-time Sprint Championship teammate. But Jacko up into 5th place, and what looked like it was going to be an awful race for both of these two is turning into not so bad after all. Although Jacko, that track limits penalty is going to cost him quite a bit at this stage of the race if it ended now, but there's still plenty of time to go. Extrek is still within range of JB. He's still keeping his ERS. He is still keeping his cards close to his chest. And JB just has to watch and wait at this stage. Sumo gets back past Jacko. Drogon finally clears the Williams of Jonathan, but he goes deep at turn 1. Can Jonathan get back at him through turns 2 and 3? He's going to have the DRS down towards turn 4. This could be a really good move from Jonathan. Jacko on the inside of Sumo further ahead as well, as Drogon goes very deep, and it's enough for Jonathan to make the move. Sumo makes the move on Jacko as well. He's back up into the top 5. What a battle this is. And Robsu is now under pressure from Denko, who is caught up into DRS range. Sumo 3 seconds back. So Robsu in no danger of losing top 4. And what a race this is, by the way, for VCarb and Mercedes. They are having an awesome race, both teams at the moment, locking out the top 4. But in which order is it going to be? Most likely Denko 3rd and Robsu 4th, but the top 2, who knows at this stage, as JB has saved some ERS back up. He's done a very good job to do so, but Extrek is still going to have the DRS down to turn 1 on the final lap, you have to think. Extrek very patient, very good at just sitting behind a driver, piling the pressure on and then getting him on the last lap. He did it many times last season to take all the wins that he did. And it looks like he's going to do it again today. But can JB fend him off? Both of them have had such excellent races. They've been the class of the field by far. But who is going to take home the spoils, I wonder? Lawrence with a track limits penalty down in 13th, but he's going to be happy to be finishing this race, I think. He certainly made a lot of progress even from last week. When he crashed out in the opening few laps. Wookie gets the fastest lap. He does manage to get that extra point to his name, but at what cost? He's lost a ton of positions. Just as I talk about Lawrence, he spins out the final corner, but luckily it stays in the Grand Prix. And he's into the pits, in fact, for soft tyres to try and go for fastest lap of his own, I would think. Why not, Lawrence? Give it a go. As long as you don't DNF, it's fine, mate. But JB and Extrek still locked together. Robsu and Denko as well. Jacko and Sumo. But these battles are a bit dampened by the track limits penalties. Jacko and Drogon have one as well as Robsu. So Sumo and Jonathan in prime position here to take advantage, as well as Triku, actually. Cavalis is too far back, but Sumo, Jonathan and Triku looking like they're going to clear both Drogon and Jacko no matter what happens here. Sumo under pressure from Jonathan through turn 13. Nothing that the Williams can do there, but he's piling the pressure on, and so is Extrek down towards turn 1. Is he going to finally make a lunge? He looks to the inside. Doesn't send it though, just allowing JB to drain some of his ERS to defend from a fake overtake as Denko gets ahead of Robsu as well. Into third place goes the other Mercedes driver, and he is back on the podium and looking for his second podium on the bounce. Jonathan and Sumo going wheel to wheel now. Jonathan with front wing damage is still battling on though, and there's a spinner in the background. That's Drogon in the Haas who's gone round. I think it was of his own doing, just trying to keep up as Sumo closes the door shut on Jonathan, absolutely slams it in his face, and Jonathan has no choice but to back out. But they are very close together, and they've got to be careful not to lose Jacko here. You know, they're taking his penalty for granted, but they can't afford to do so. He's not that far ahead, but the amount of grip Jonathan has in comparison to Sumo, I think those mediums are just about done now at this stage. Robsu is sticking with Denko though, but yeah, Sumo's a one lap older, to be fair. As the DRS still enabled though for the Ferrari, and that is what he needs just to keep up with the Aston Martin of Jacko, last week's race winner. But once again, lap 27 of 29 is what we're coming to. 3 laps to go in this race, and it's still locked together for the top 2. JB just doing enough to defend, but Extrek not even going for any sort of move. And if I were JB here, I might, you know, lift off my ERS even down the straight, because clearly Extrek is not interested in going for a move. He surely worked that out by now. So just, if I was him, I'd put my ERS down to none as Robsu goes down the inside into turn 1 of Denko. He makes the move stick. He does still have that track limits penalty, but it's a good move from the Finn, using that DRS to full effect, but Denko getting him back on the run to turn 4, and it's a simple driver. Jackalako still holding off Sumo, but another driver plagued by a track limits penalty at this stage of the race. Jonathan and Triku all in the mix as well. Sumo putting the pressure on Jacko, keeping just behind him. As now Extrek still sticking behind JB. JB's saving a little bit more ERS, but again, if I were him, I'd just leave it off on the straight down to turn 1. Clearly Extrek is not interested. He just wants to make a move on the final lap, so, you know, call his bluff is what I would say. But JB in the cockpit, who knows what he's going to do. He's been showing a lot more aggression, a lot more hunger today, and it's been fantastic to see. Can he cap it off with a race win? That's the question. It's looking like a double podium for Mercedes, but can the party for the race win be spoiled by JB here? Extrek still just behind, still lifting off. No, he's going for it this time. No, actually, he's not. He lifts off. He's just trying to force JB to spend DRS again, and yet again he succeeds. Jacko with with another time penalty, and that could cost him even to Drogon at this rate, or Cavalis further back. I think he's just about okay that it won't matter too much for now. He was, losing 3 positions anyway, but still not what he wanted to see at this stage. But Xrek playing mind games with JB here in these last few laps, and playing them to perfection, it has to be said. Wookie gets another place. He clears Scott for P11 on those soft tyres, and he will surely clear Cavalis for 10th as well. So he'll at least get himself into the top 10 here, as JB still holding off Xtrek, but we're going to head on to the final lap very shortly, and Xtrek is going to drain every last drop of his ERS to get through into turn 1, and honestly, I don't see how JP is going to be able to defend. I can't see it at all. I think this is Xtrek's race to lose now. Denko 10 seconds behind. These two have been so far clear of the rest of the field today, but JB looking like he's going to come under just a little bit too much pressure. Wookie gets to P10 further back, but here comes Xtrek now. He uses everything he's got in the ERS battery. He looks to the inside. He takes the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix into turn 1. There's nothing JB can do. He's going to have the DRS down to 4, but it's a poor exit out of 1. He gets a good exit out of 2, though, compared to Xtrek. He's going to drain everything as well on the run to 4 here. He's got the DRS, but he's just not close enough to make a move. He's going to have to try it somewhere else. We're just going to ride on board with these two. Sumo, Jonathan and Triku doing battle as well further back, but these two are so close together for the race victory. Can Xtrek hold on? Can JB mount a challenge right at the end? He breaks too late into turn 8 and hits the back of the Mercedes, and that is surely game over. Game, set and match to the champion. Xtrek just does not lose his cool, and JB just too far back in the end. He's using everything down to 4, but you have to think, if he hadn't used it all, if he hadn't braked too late for turn 8, he might have had a chance there into turn 11. It's still on though. It's not quite over. They're still going to go at it into the final corner. I was saying it's game, set and match, but JB had a brilliant few corners to get back in range, but surely Xtrek has done enough here. JB hasn't got enough left in the tank. Xtrek goes to the inside, and JB, I think he's going to come up just about short. Xtrek plays mind games so expertly, but he's lost the rear on the exit of the final corner, but it's just not enough for JB to catch him. Xtrek wins the Bahrain Grand Prix in spectacular fashion, just playing complete mind games with JB and psyching him out with experience. He takes the win. Denko takes a very good podium as well. Robsu a very respectable P4. Jacko does fall to P8. Trico and Jonathan a drag race to the line, which Triku wins by 7/100ths of a second. Sumo in the top 5. He'll be delighted with that on a track he absolutely hates. Cavalis finishes in 11th. Wookie in the top 10 in the end. Scott had a drag race with the Williams as well to the line. He couldn't quite get him, and he stays P12. And it's going to be Lawrence who's going to come home in 13th with Dad's Can Game at the rear end of the field. But goodness me, that was certainly entertaining to watch, but woof, not a lot of I think stewards' inquiries, and I don't think a lot of people are going to be happy with that one. There was far too much contact, far too many collisions there for an APPF1 race, and I think I will make that point and put my admin hat on in the Discord. But anyway, we're going to have interviews with the top 3, so don't go away. I am going to try and link my Discord, or hope my Discord is linked, and if not, I will do that very, very quickly, as quickly as I can. So I will be right back, everyone, and we will have interviews with the top 3. All right, so it is Xtrek who wins the Bahrain Grand Prix from JB after an epic duel between the two of them, but Xtrek played the mind games and it worked out. Denko finishes on the podium again with Robsu in 4th place. Then it's Sumo in the top 5, Triku just behind him with Jonathan in 7th. Then it's Jacko with his penalties dropping to P8, Drogon in 9th, Wookie in the top 10 with Cavalis, Scott, Lawrence and Dadsken game the last of the finishers. Aces, Alex, Antone and Enchiladadad unable to finish this one. We will quickly have interviews in just a second. All right. Okay, so I can join the Discord chat. That's good. So I'm going to interview Jacko first, and then we'll get to the Mercedes, hopefully. All right, sorry, not Jacko. JB is who I meant, not Jacko. Wrong guy beginning with J, like I said in Discord. So let's get JB in and give him an interview, and then we will speak to Denko, hopefully. I don't think Extra... Hopefully Denko can. Can we get JB in? Hang on, let me try again with the party invite. Ah, I started the wrong party, that's why. There we go. That should be that should be fine. Come on, JB. Alright, well, first of all, Xrec says in the chat, amazing to return to the top step of the podium. I had good pace. I exercised a lot. I think he means he practiced a lot. English not his first language. I went to Bahrain 4 times this month. Hello, JB. Thanks to teammate for letting me through at the beginning. It gave me a lot of time. I held on to JB until the very end, and on the last lap I had to try to attack, says Xtrek. And JB, well, I hear you have a cold, but you didn't show it today. What a drive it was. I think I was saying in the stream, showed an awful lot more of the aggression and hunger befitting of a man who just took pole position today. So you certainly impressed on track, but I'm sure you're slightly gutted to miss out on the win. Oh, hang on, JB, we can't hear you. Hang on. You need to enable your settings in the party. You're on mobile, aren't you? That might be part of it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the voice chat settings are on mobile. All right. Okay. Should be able to hear you now. Sorry. Go on. Go on.
Yeah, so like what you were saying about last race, so it was a bit probably conservative, probably because of the incident that I had at the start of Japan. But I think starting a bit further forward, obviously on pole, that gave me the confidence of when that safety car came out that I could make those moves. So like I made a couple of, I think it was like aces. I sent up the inside. I think there was a few others as well. You might have picked up on them, but
Yes.
but as much as I'm disappointed to lose out just at the last on the win, I think overall a P2 going into it, not expecting much. A P2 is more than I could ask for. So yeah.
Well, congratulations, and I think the question I have really on my mind is with the duel with X-Trek at the end. So many laps he's spent behind you. Did you? Because I noticed you were still draining ERS to keep him behind, but he was playing some mind games with you in the last few laps, sort of pretending like he was going to make a move, but he never intended to make a move until the last lap. So was it ever on your mind to switch to none ERS on the straight, knowing that he wasn't going to make a move anyway, or did the mind games work?
I think the mind games did work because part of me was thinking to do that, but then I was thinking, is he? Because he was like making moves like at the last moment. If you saw like sometimes into turn one, so I was thinking, is he going to send it or? So it's kind of if it's to play back again, then obviously I would say more ERS and try and defend better. So. But I didn't know if he would initially, because I think at the start, relatively at the start, it looked like he might switch positions back and forth. Obviously, if the safety car didn't come out and exchange DRS, so I didn't know obviously if we'd be doing that up until the end within the last couple of laps, and then kind of make moves or not. But yeah, something to look at for the future.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a while since you've sort of had the experience of fighting for the win in Tier 2, so I don't blame you for, falling victim to a bit of mind games, because obviously X-Trek has had this many, many times over the last few months, so a lot more experience in the bank. But you can be very proud of your performance today, so well done, JB.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, I'm going to join the Discord voice chat now, and hopefully we can get some words from Denko in P3, which will delight the chat, I'm sure. Hello, Denko. Is this working? If you're... there we go. I can hear you now. There we go. Fantastic. All right. I hope the stream can hear you as well. But I think they can. I don't think there's any kind of issues with that for Discord VC. So welcome to Podium Interviews for the first time. We should have had you on last week, but obviously I had my issues with logging into Discord, so that's my bad. But welcome to the podium for the second time in a row in your APP career. It's third place again, but I don't think that tells the whole story because the top two were so far clear. It was, I think, the maximum you could have got today. But how do you feel about after that race? No problem. Yeah, there was certainly a lot of how should we describe it in a polite way on the stream? Argy-bargy between you all in the midfield there in that last stint. I'm not going to ask you to sort of elaborate too much on it because we all saw everything on the stream. But once you got clear of it all, once you finally got to the head of that pack and started chasing down Robsu, were you are you the sort of driver that sort of gets back to a calm state very quickly, or did it take you a few laps to sort of burn the annoyance off and then start going after Robsu? Yeah, exactly. You can never take time penalties for granted in league racing, but you did a fantastic job. It's your second podium in a row, the only driver to be on the podium for all races so far this season. See if you can keep it up. It's been a perfect start to the season for you. I believe if you're not leading the championship, no, you won't be. X-Trek will be, but you'll be very close. And certainly Mercedes is going to be a long way clear in the constructors. Do you think both championships are on this season? I know it's very early, but are you encouraged by the performances so far? Oh, for sure. You've gone a fantastic distance to achieving that so far already. Finally, Hungary next week. How are you feeling about that circuit? Is it a loved one, a hated one, or just a bit of just another track? Indeed. Well, congratulations again, Denko. Pleasure to speak to you for the first time. And yeah, go for it. Go for it. Oh, yes. Oh, well, thank you, Denko, and I'm sure we will speak again this season. So I will see you next time you're on the podium. But good luck for Hungary next week and for the rest of the season. All right, that is it for today's stream. Thank you all ever so much for watching. It's been a pretty chaotic race from start to finish. There's certainly going to be some stewards reports going in, I'm sure, but hopefully we can return to normality in Hungary next week. For some reason, it's just Bahrain a lot of the time just brings out these kinds of races where everything goes wrong, but can't blame it on the track. But anyway, thank you all ever so much for watching, and we will be back next week for Hungary, and hopefully a little less of a complete chaos race up and down the grid. So thank you all. Have a lovely rest of your week, and I'll see you next time.